Welcome to today's webinar, the second in our series, Pathways to Success, Helping Students with College and Career Decisions. This third webinar in the series is titled, Males in Health Occupation Programs of Study, Teacher Strategies to Recruit and Transition Male Students into Health Occupations, presented by Kelly Illich and Lavoie Break. My name is Greg Nagy, and I am the Virtual Learning Community Manager from The Ohio State University, who provides technical support for the STEM Equity Pipeline project. Before we start the presentation, I would like to go over some housekeeping items for this webinar. This webinar is scheduled to last roughly 1 hour and is being recorded in order to view this presentation in its entirety later. The recorded webinar will be available in the next few days on the stemequitypipeline.org website. As you've already found out, you'll be watching the presenter present slides through the Adobe Connect interface while listening to them talk over your computer speakers. All of the participants' microphones have been automatically muted. You can access any of the links in the Web Links pod by clicking the link and then clicking the Browse To button to open the link in a different tab in your browser. You can also download the slides and other files from the Files pod. Click on the file you want to download and then click the Download Files button. This will open the file as a link in a different tab in your browser. The file named February 5 Webinar Information PDF is a reference document which includes all of the links in the Web Links pod. The presenters will answer questions after the presentation. However, we can take questions at any time. This is how we take questions. At any time during the presentation, you may submit a question by typing your question in the chat pod at the bottom right of the Adobe Connect window. We will read and respond to these questions at the end of the presentation. I would like to start the webinar by introducing Freda Walker, Assistant Director of the STEM Equity Pipeline Project. Freda?
Thank you, Greg. First, I'd like to do a test. I see that someone has no sound. Are most people, do you have sound? Can you just indicate, can you hear me okay before I start? On the chat function, please. Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. And Greg, maybe you can assist the one person that doesn't have sound on the chat.
Okay.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the third in the webinar series, Pathways to Success. These webinars highlight the latest research regarding career preparation and provide specific strategies that you can implement. I am pleased to introduce today's webinar, which is entitled Males in Health Occupation Programs of Study, Teacher Strategies to Recruit and Transition Male Students into Health Occupations. We have two presenters, one from the Oregon Center of Nursing and the American Assembly of Men in Nursing. Support for the webinars is from the Minnesota Department of Education and the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities. They funded these webinars to inform all who have a role in helping students understand successful paths to high skill, high wage, and high demand jobs. On their behalf, I welcome you. Additional funding is from the National Science Foundation, which is provided to NAEP for the STEM Equity Pipeline 2.0. This and the past webinars are archived on the NAEP website and on the Minnesota State Colleges and University website. Today we are providing a certificate of completion. If you are from Minnesota, it will come from the Minnesota Department of Education, and if not, it will come from NAEP, the National Alliance for Partnerships in Equity. I encourage all of you to participate in using the chat function to type questions to the presenters, and at the end of their presentations, I will read the questions to the presenters so you can hear the answers. Today's webinar again is focused on males in nursing. Kelly Illich and Lavoie Break are here to present with us. Kelly will be our first speaker, and she is the Operations Manager of the Oregon Center for Nursing. Lavoie Break is the second speaker. He is an RN, and he has a master's in education, and he serves on the AAMN board. So I welcome both speakers, and Kelly, you're first.
Thank you so much, and it's my pleasure to be here today for this webinar series. We were thrilled to be included, and we were asked to speak specifically on the work that the Oregon Center for Nursing has done around recruiting and transitioning men into the profession of nursing. I wanted to start by providing you with a little bit of background on the Oregon Center for Nursing. It was established by nursing leaders in the state of Oregon in 2002 in response to information and data that was pointing to the
Kelly,
fact that by 2012,
Kelly,
yes, yes,
Kelly, this is Freda, and people are having difficulty hearing you. So can you either speak up or let's do a little test first?
is that any better?
It's a little better. Let's try a little bit louder.
I don't believe I have any more microphone volume. I'm at full microphone strength.
Okay, people are saying that's good. That's better. So thank you so much.
Okay, my apologies. So I'll go ahead and start over and just provide you with a little bit of background around the Oregon Center for Nursing. We were asked to participate today to talk a little bit about the work that our center has done around recruiting more men into the profession of nursing. The Oregon Center for Nursing was established by nursing leaders in Oregon in 2002 in response to data and information that was pointing to the fact that by 2012 or 2015, we were looking at a shortage of nurses within the state of Oregon. So the center was initially started to address that pending nursing shortage within the state of Oregon, and now is focused on promoting a robust workforce of well-prepared nursing professionals who are dedicated to providing care and leading change to meet the health needs of our community. And we accomplish this through a number of activities that range from legislation at the state level to doing current workforce research and analysis on the nursing profession in Oregon, providing registered nurses with leadership development opportunities in the state, and supporting innovation and collaboration on a variety of initiatives and projects, and then also looking at strategies to increase the workforce diversity within Oregon. So back in 2002, when the center was first started, I guess I'll back it up to the year 2000. In the year 2000, when we looked nationally at the percentage of registered nurses who were men in nursing, the percentage was nationally at 5.4%. That's what HRSA was reporting based on their sample of registered nurse workforce. And in Oregon in 2002, about 10% of the registered nurse workforce was male. And so as the nursing leaders were looking at increasing workforce diversity, gender diversity was something that they really wanted to focus on. And they went to one of their funding partners with a proposal. And the proposal was to develop recruitment materials that would specifically address gender diversity and also address ethnic and racial diversity in nursing. The review of materials that they had done that looked at national materials that were available related to nursing recruitment showed that the materials often did not appeal to adolescent boys, and also that the minority focus that was featured in recruitment materials tended to focus predominantly on African American individuals. And in Oregon, with the growing Hispanic population, they wanted to develop materials that would look specifically at the ethnicities and races that were present within our state. So they proposed to develop a poster that would feature men who were registered nurses and who embodied stereotypical male attributes to address some of the stereotype of nurses being women. The goal was to distribute the poster to all high school and middle school counselors in Oregon and Southwest Washington, and also provide copies of the poster to hospitals, healthcare facilities, colleges, universities, and public agencies. And so what was eventually created was our Are You Man Enough to Be a Nurse poster. And I don't know if this is something that is familiar to individuals who are on the webinar today. If it's something you've seen before, you might want to just use the person icon and raise your hand if maybe you've seen it within your state. The poster was unveiled on November 13th, 2002 at the Northwest Health Foundation, who was one of the primary funders of the poster. And as you can see, it's a black and white poster, and it features several men who are, and it also contains their name, the specific position they have in nursing, and then what are some of their outside interests are. The poster was an immediate success. We received many requests from within Oregon and also from outside Oregon to distribute the poster, to sell the poster, and to send it far and wide. And we still receive requests on a monthly basis for the poster. Most recently, I had a request from a nurse in Italy who wanted to know if we could send the poster over there to him because he had run across it on the internet. With the poster, what ended up happening, or I guess what we can talk about, is one of the things that we are asked is, is the poster viewed in a negative light or is it viewed in a positive light? In 2005, Bernard Hodis, along with the American Assembly for Men, did a survey, and they were looking at the poster and whether or not it was viewed in a positive light or in a negative light. And it was viewed by the majority of individuals who were surveyed in a positive light. But we also have heard feedback from individuals that perhaps the poster takes stereotypes to the other extreme, that all of the men who are portrayed in this poster are portrayed as being macho or having sports interests, or what about men who do not necessarily fit into this lineup on the poster? And it's something that is interesting to consider. But what we have been happy with about the poster is that regardless of whether or not it's viewed in a positive or in a negative light, it is a conversation starter, and it gets people talking about men in nursing and what the stereotypes are and how they can be addressed. Another thing that we have been asked is whether or not we have seen that this poster has increased the number of men working in Oregon. And really, we can't show statistically that this poster has improved or sustained the number of men who are interested in becoming registered nurses, but it has definitely been a conversation starter. The other thing that I wanted to talk about as far as, and the other thing that we have really liked about our poster is that it's something that has been replicated around the nation. So we have had several states that have contacted us with requests to use the images for their own campaigns to recruit more men into the profession of nursing. The state of Florida also developed their own Are You Man Enough to Be a Nurse poster that featured local men but used the same framework. And then more recently, we've seen that the American Academy, of Men in Nursing has developed their own campaign to continue this tradition. And here locally, the University of Portland developed a campaign that looked at featuring student nurses who happen to be men, and using that as a way to increase interest among adolescent boys who might be interested in joining the University of Portland School of Nursing and becoming registered nurses. Another initiative that was started shortly after these posters that the Oregon Center for Nursing was involved in briefly was a program called Men in Scrubs. And this was started in 2003. And the program was focused on young men who were between the ages of 16 and 18 years old. And it formed small cohorts of 10 or so men who attended a one-day academy where education partners and clinical partners gathered together to provide the men with an opportunity to experience what nursing is like. So they were able to practice nursing skills and also shadow experienced male nurses. And they were able to do this in um, in a skills lab setting and then also actually visiting hospital settings around town. And for the cohorts, they usually had about 5 volunteer registered nurses who would volunteer to assist in the program, and also 5 student nurses who would assist in the program. As I said, this was a program back in 2003. There were several cohorts that went through, and it's not a program that we have continued at this time, but it is something that I did want to mention. And I guess I just wanted to close by saying that there are a lot of different initiatives and programs out there that address recruiting men into nursing, but also the retention of men in nursing is another issue entirely, because when students graduate from nursing school and then get into a clinical setting where they're looking at being outnumbered 9-to-1 or sometimes even more, that can change an individual's opinion about whether or not that it is a career that they want to pursue. And while our center has not done a lot of work at looking at that, I'm hoping that that's something that maybe Lavoie will be talking about as he presents, or something that will continue to be addressed as we look at increasing diversity within the profession.
All right, thanks, Kelly. I hope everybody can hear me. I am Lavoie Break. I am a member of the American Assembly for Men in Nursing. I'm also a board member, and I serve currently as the chair for Membership and New Chapter Development Committee, and have served in these positions for the last 3 years. I'm honored to be here, and I'm happy to discuss about what the Assembly is doing, and also to talk about the challenges that men in nursing are facing. So I have objectives listed there, and you can certainly read those for yourself. I'm not going to read them for you. But I do want to talk about the barriers, and then I want to talk specifically about what the American Assembly is doing in regards to meeting these challenges. First of all, I want to go through the historical perspectives. Men in nursing have existed since 250 BC. We were providing nursing care. At that time, over the years, we have served as religious organizations providing nursing care, and on the battlefield, and also in the field hospitals. Nightingale, as you know, was not a positive individual for men entering the profession, but nevertheless, we continued to persevere, and there were several schools in the United States at the early 1900s that were admitting men into the profession. In the last 60 years, the Army Nurse Corps for decades refused to allow men to enter that branch, and it wasn't until the Vietnam War around 1966 in which men in nursing were actually commissioned as officers as their female colleagues were. World War II briefly really did a hard impact on men in nursing. First of all, men were not allowed to enter the profession into the military as a nurse. And secondly, there was a large marketing campaign to recruit females into the profession. And there was a large volume of funds, government funds, to promote that. And it caused some detrimental changes there for men in nursing. I want to talk specifically about the challenges I used one of my references, and you'll see that at the end was a recent article that was published in the American Journal of Nursing in regards to men in nursing. And even though they're talking about career entry challenges and nursing education and experience, many of these same situations also exist in the profession once the male has entered into the acute care setting or community setting and so forth. So let's look at the career entry issues. Media portrayal, predominantly that has been one of female oriented. The profession has promoted females. I think it's that carryover from World War II. But in the last 10 to 20 years, more males are becoming more prominent in the portrayal. But men who are considering entering the profession, when they see these stereotypes or these female portrayals, it is a barrier for them to come in. Also, culture, society, expectations. If I say the word nurse, you immediately think of a female, white, standing in a starched uniform, perhaps with a cap. And we need to change those cultural expectations as we move forward. Recruitment only in the last few years by nursing programs have focused on males. Up until the last decade, many programs did not have specific recruitment efforts for men in nursing. And high school counselors do not routinely recruit men to enter the profession. It's not a career option that's usually discussed with individuals at that time. Let's look at the challenges internally that a male may experience. Certainly role strain is one of those. Oftentimes men choose nursing as a second career choice. Certainly when they come out of high school, they're viewing the profession as perhaps not something that they are welcomed into, or they do not see a lot of role models in which to enter the program. But the other issue is when they come back as a second career choice, men are primarily the income provider, which is a cultural norm. And this loss of income, this loss of role can place a strain on the individual as well. There's also increased workload demands placed upon the male. Many peers will use them as muscle, or staff will use them as muscle, which can send some mixed messages. The perception that the male is a physician or a physician in training is an implication of a cultural norm that says that men are not nurses. The other issue, too, comes into play in regards to how media portrays the male nurse. If you think back of some of the examples in movies and television shows, many males are not portrayed in a positive role, and this too can cause role strain. Isolation. I know of many students that tell me that there may be one or two males in their nursing program, and they're feeling isolated, and there's just not a lot of role models in regards to the faculty, because as we know, many of the faculty are greater than 46 years old and usually female and predominantly white. So that could certainly be an issue. Literature in the last couple of decades has slowly changed to avoid the use of a female pronoun. However, many book reviewers are female. They oftentimes will not catch the female pronoun, and this can be a barrier to men in the profession, as well as when they're reading about a nurse and the reference is always she. Oftentimes, book publishers will use stock photos, and they will use old photos, which are oftentimes of females. The other issue, too, comes in regards to the historical context. Oftentimes our history is not shared in a curriculum setting, and the literature is very vague. I think the only male nurse that was made reference to me in my career was Walt Whitman, and Walt was a good guy and he did a lot of work, but I didn't know about all the other individuals that came before me, and that's really important that we share that. Um, Faculty will oftentimes use female pronouns to describe the nurse in the classroom setting, or they'll use it in their handouts. Many faculty are starting to change that policy, and there are still some holdouts in regards to that. And so certainly we've had to address that as well. The other thing too is about content. Content in a nursing program is usually delivered by a lecture format, and concern with the lecture format is it's great for females because they're mostly auditory learners. Males are not auditory learners. They tend to be more tactile. And classroom settings oftentimes will place a barrier just in regards to the learning process as well. The other concern too is in a clinical setting, many males report having the feelings that their clinical instructors have different expectations of males, and that males do not always deliver the emotive or the caring type of approach that the faculty expect from a female student. So oftentimes um, feeling isolated there as well. The issue of caring and touch. Caring is a very difficult term to define, and as the article that I may mention earlier makes reference to, the profession has not really clarified or defined what this term actually means. And without a clear definition, it's almost impossible to measure the concept. And we do know that males versus females demonstrate caring differently. Um, there was a speaker recently that I heard in which she made reference that males will oftentimes use humor to demonstrate caring with their clients. And that the other concern about caring is if we have no clear definition, how do faculty measure that in a student? Touch is certainly an issue. It is a boundary issue for sure. Males have a fear about how their touch is going to be perceived by clients, especially in those specialty areas such as OB and GYN or in a mental health setting. And touch could be considered sexual or seductive, but has also connotations in the mental health setting that relate to power and control. So men have to adapt their touch specifically. And again, curriculums do not teach males specifically on how to deal with the issue of touch. So there are no strategies. So those are some of the barriers that men in nursing face. And I do want to talk about what we're doing to meet those challenges. The purpose of the American Assembly is to meet, discuss, and influence factors which affect men in nursing. It was created in the early 1970s, so we've been around for at least 30 plus years. And we are there for the recruitment, promotion, and support of men in nursing. We are the only national organization dedicated to men in nursing. We're also perhaps one of the most multinational organizations, or multi-generational organizations, Our members range from high school students who are considering nursing as a profession to individuals in their 80s. And so we're very diverse in regards to our age. Specifically, let's talk about how we're addressing those barriers. First of all, as you can see, this is one of our goals or purposes in regards to the assembly. In regards to the media campaign, we've been promoting positive images of men in nursing through posters, printed materials. We worked very hard in regards to a video contest for a previous conference in which individuals are asked to submit videos portraying men in nursing in a positive light or a humorous light, and that was fairly successful. We are working on developing a high school brochure for specifically geared towards males that can be used in a high school setting with counselors. And we are utilizing other social media resources to promote men in nursing. Certainly with our national Facebook page, our website, we're also on LinkedIn. There's also an unofficial mascot on Facebook for the assembly as well. We also created specifically a 20 by 20 campaign, which is a 20 by 20 campaign to choose nursing. We started this about 3 years ago, and it's an initiative to encourage men to enter the profession. Our goal is to have 20% male enrollment in nursing programs throughout the United States by the year 2020. I can tell you that in conversations with various individuals across the United States, some schools have less than 10%, and there are some schools reporting 20 to 50% of their classes are made up of males. We're also providing scholarships. Undergraduate and graduate scholarships are provided through the American Assembly for Men in Nursing Foundation, which is an arm of the Assembly. And we are partnering up with professional organizations, educational programs, as well as employers to promote inclusivity in the profession. We're actively involved with the Institute of Medicine, and many of the board members not only sit on several of the national committees, many of us are involved locally in our various state organizations for the Action Coalition to promote diversity and that inclusivity into the profession. Here is another goal to support men to grow professionally. And I guess since I'm committee chair for chapters and membership, this is one close and very dear to my heart. Chapters and membership growth has been phenomenal in the last 3 to 4 years. The numbers have dramatically increased. Our membership exceeds 1,000 members. We, in the last 2 years, have grown local chapters to about 25 new chapters in the last 2 years. There are more than 50 chapters currently active in the United States, and we have at least 20 new chapters under development currently. Not only are we working in the United States, I have individuals working to develop chapters in Canada, Australia, Philippines, Colombia, as well as some other countries. So we are working to foster that support locally, but also on a national level as well. We certainly provide awards to Best Workplace and Best School. The Best Workplace is to recognize employers that have implemented significant efforts in recruiting and retraining men in a workplace culture environment. For Best Schools, we recognize nursing programs or colleges that provide significant efforts in recruiting and retraining men in nursing. And in the year 2012, we also started a new award, Gene Tranenbarger Award, The purpose of this award is to recognize an outstanding article or book about men in nursing or men's health. And the award is presented at our annual conference. We also advocate for continued research and education about men's health issues, men in nursing, and nursing knowledge at the local and national levels. Every year for the last 38 years, we've held an annual conference. Our next conference is in October 2013 in Newark, New Jersey. It's being hosted by Seton Hall. And it's a great opportunity to network, hear from nursing leaders, nursing students, and a plethora of speakers in regards to issues that relate specifically to men in nursing. We have several position papers out on our webpage that talk about nursing, men's health, and they're readily accessible. I do want to talk about not only do we do this at the national level, there are individuals in their individual states working very hard and diligently to improve the profession to where it is inclusive of all. And I give you an example of last year at the National Student Nursing Association in Pittsburgh, 3 resolutions were presented by males that specifically related to men's health issues or men in nursing. And they were passed, successfully passed. And I know that individuals are working hard on changing that again this year and bringing more resolutions back to Charlotte. We also have a newsletter interaction, which is published approximately 3 to 4 times a year. And it's a means to keep in communication with our membership, but also to let everyone else know what the Assembly is working on. In addition to that, we have news that you can use, email alerts on a weekly basis to all the memberships, and that goes out to the members, as well as information is shared on the LinkedIn page, as well as also on the Facebook page as well. And then we talk about full participation in the nursing profession and its organizations. I've already talked about the partnerships with various organizations, and I've also talked about the Institute of Medicine and the Future of Nursing. We're actively involved with that. Michael Bly, who was one of the authors of the Future of Nursing, is also an active member of the American Assembly for Men in Nursing, and is very supportive of our goals and purposes. Lastly, I want to share something from one of our founders, Luther Kreisman, Dr. Luther Kreisman. And essentially he says that no one race, gender, or ethnic group has a monopoly on the qualities of intelligence, scientific competence, imagination, empathy, tenderness, concern for others, or motor skill ability. To state otherwise is to deny reality. The American Assembly for Men in Nursing is really pushing for allowing, promoting that the profession is inclusive for all, regardless of gender, race, ethnic group, etc. Lastly, I shared with you some references I used for the presentation. There are 2 on here that I cannot tout enough. They're both publications by Chad Olin. One is A Man's Guide to a Nursing Career. The other one is Men in Nursing, History, Challenges, and Opportunities. If you've not read these publications, I suggest that you go on Amazon, buy some copies, and share them. Make sure that they're in your libraries, and make sure that they're available for individuals to read, because they're just phenomenal in regards to the discussion about men in nursing. Thank you.
Thank you, Lavoie and Kelly. I can see that some people are typing, and I do have some questions that we want to ask the presenters, but I would like to, I know that Dr. Chad Olin is on our webinar, and I'm going to ask if he's willing to just talk a little bit about his touch training, which we didn't really know about, and also his new book, A Man's Guide to Nursing Career. So, Chad, are you willing to talk with us? While I'm waiting to see if he will share with us, this PowerPoint is on the left-hand side, and you can download that, and then you can see those references of the books and everything that are there. They're also in the information, the February 5th information PDF file that's on the left-hand side there under Files, so you can download those. Sure, I'd be happy to share. Let's see, how do I turn on my mic? Greg, do you want to, you can just talk to the computer.
Yep, I just promoted him as a presenter. So, chat, if you click the microphone icon at the top, it should turn green, and if everything works great, we'll hear you. If not, there's other things we have to do.
While he's getting connected, I just want to share that we have some more webinar series that are going to be coming up, one on March the 12th, 2013, and it's Successful Paths to Hot Careers, Best Education, and Perfect Jobs, Partnering with Parents. And we also have a webinar on April the 9th, 2013. It is about successful paths to hot careers, best education, and perfect jobs, partnering with business and industry and community organizations. And we're hoping that you'll join us with those. Let's see, Chad, have you, oh, he's got a microphone. Do you want to see if you can talk? Go right ahead. I will mute my. Okay, I'm not sure. This is Freda Walker, and I've come back again. We'll see if Chad gets his mic going. I also would like to invite all of you to join the NAEP's virtual community of educators, community leaders, business and industry partners, plus other stakeholders on our website at naepequity.org. That's napequity.org. And that's also referenced over here in the web links on the right-hand side. Oh, okay, Chad, let's see. Do you want to, can you unmute yours?
Freda, I have them going through the test right now.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you want to try to take a question or two while we're waiting.
I can do that. Let's go back. We had one or two questions. Lavoie, I think these are both to you, but the first one had to do, empathy has been measured. Is that used?
Some programs use empathy. I don't know how ingrained it is into certain curriculum. The other concern, too, is relating to the philosophy of the programs, how empathy and caring is threaded through a curriculum's philosophy as well as their objectives.
Lavoie, and I think, William, I think that you got your answer about the email address, so I think that that question was actually taken care of. Do we have any other questions? Oh, people are saying they could hear, well, I think that was Lavoie speaking. I can see that one person is typing. While we're waiting, again, I'm going to also encourage all of you that can to join us, to join NAEP at their Professional Development Institute in April in Washington, D.C. We'd love to see you there, and you'd learn more about non-trad and underrepresented populations and strategies that you can use. Okay, I see that we have another question. Is there research about male doctors' treatment of male nurses? Interesting. Lavoie, do you know anything?
I am not aware of any actual peer-based or peer review research that's out there. Chad may know of some, or Kelly, but I do know anecdotal stories that many males report having a better rapport with the physicians, male physicians, or actually just physicians in general, regardless of gender, than they actually do with their peers.
Okay, I have another question. How can these strategies, how can these strategies be used to promote males in vet tech programs?
That's a good question, and I've read some material on that. I know that one of the board members is looking at that, and specifically in regards to medics and how we can incorporate medics over into the nursing profession and in a smooth transition. And I'm really don't have any specific strategies that I can talk about now in regards to that. My knowledge base is fairly limited, and I apologize for that.
Greg, do we have Chad on?
No, he can try again if he wants, but if not, he might just have to use the chat.
Okay. I can see some people are typing, so I'll wait till they're through typing here.
Chad, if you have a moment, if you haven't, click the green microphone icon at the top and you can try again.
While we're waiting, I do want to remind everyone that this webinar and all of our past webinars are archived on the NAEP website, and also on the Minnesota State Colleges and University websites you can find the series that we have been involved in. Okay, so Chad said he's going to be typing, and I can see a variety of other people are typing. Okay, here's, let's see, there's a general belief that the salary is affected when one gender enters the workforce that has previously been owned by the opposite gender. Are there any comments?
I guess I can just say that males make up approximately 7 to 10% of the profession. Not sure if that percentage is significant enough to justify that the salaries have increased over the last 20 to 30 years. Anecdotally, in regards to my aspect, as a new grad getting out of school, I was making $7 an hour. Obviously, that's improved over the years, but I don't have any specific data at hand.
Okay. We have a question, and as one person is asking specifically, but I think this could apply to many people across the nation. Is there an AAMN chapter in Denver? They would love to have a male nurse as a guest speaker for their students as a part of their Health Science Academy. So what would be the best way for our audience to be able to get guest speakers or mentors that are male nurses to connect to their programs?
It is a good question, and the local chapters play a phenomenal role in regards to the community. And Denver does have a chapter, and anyone can locate a chapter by going to the American Assembly for Men in Nursing.org website, AAMN, and there on the left is a menu selection, and you select chapters, and it will provide you with a directory as well as a contact individual. If you don't see one for your state or if you don't see one for your city, certainly just email aamn@aamn.org, and one of the individuals out of the central office will contact you. They'll probably connect you with me, or if you want to connect me directly, you can certainly do that as well. And I will contact individuals in that area to get in touch with you. Many of the chapters are actively involved in their communities. And I know Denver has a very strong chapter.
I can see that Eva from Wisconsin has wanted me to clarify where you can go to have access for Minnesota and the webinars, and you can see in the chat she has put the website there. Any other questions?
I just have a comment. This is Lavoie. And I really want to stress the issue that even though our title is American Assembly for Men in Nursing, we have male and female professionals. We have schools that have chapters for men in nursing that were started by females and who are actively involved in their chapters. So even though our name says Men in Nursing, we're pretty inclusive, and we welcome anyone who wants to talk about chapter development or how you can get more involved in the assembly.
I can see that one more person is typing. Oh, okay, Eva has given us another website that we can go to for a great connection for educating youth and changing perceptions about males and nursing. So everyone look at that on the chat and add that link to your resources. And I can see we have Chad is typing now. Kelly, I was going to also ask if you had any other closing remarks. Oh, okay. Chad is telling us his book is A Man's Guide to a Nursing Career, and it was just published this year. And Lavoie told me it was an excellent resource, an excellent read. So I encourage people to look at that. Okay. Thank you, Chad. Kelly, do you have any closing remarks?
No, I think just thank you very much for allowing us to participate today in this webinar. And this is an ongoing area of interest for the entire nation. And there are a number of different strategies and initiatives and programs out there. And this is a great start for sharing that information across the nation. And it's been very interesting to look at all of the different programs and links that have popped up just from the wealth of knowledge from the participants that have been online with us today. So thank you for all of that.
I want to say thank you to Kelly and Lavoie and all of you that shared and chatted. Anyway, it was an honor to be on this webinar to learn more about males in nursing and just some of the strategies that are being used and some of the barriers that men face in nursing. I thank the Minnesota Department of Education and the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities, and I do hope that you'll join us for the other webinars. In conclusion, I want to tell you that Greg Nagy, who is our technician here, is going to post an evaluation survey so that you can share your opinions about the webinar with us. It helps us to better serve your professional development needs, so please fill it out. Also, if you want to receive a certificate of participation in this webinar, you need to complete page 2 of the survey. The evaluation is page 1, and the certificate information is on page 2 of the survey. Page 1 and page 2 are administered separately, so the evaluation survey remains anonymous. I just thank you all for spending the hour with us, and have a good afternoon. And Greg will now, oh, is there a fee? Oh, for joining NAEP. I need to answer this. There is a fee for joining NAEP. It is not a big fee. I think an institution can join for $100. And if you go to the NAEP website, you can see how to become a member. So please go to our NAEP website and make sure you download the February 5th webinar information, and you can get it there, or you can use the link on the right-hand side and just pop yourself over there right now and look at the membership. So thank you very much. Greg?
Okay. So thank you for joining us today. Remember, this webinar will be available on the STEMequitypipeline.org website homepage and under the Professional Development heading, and then under STEM Equity Pipeline Archive Webinars in the next few days. For the live webinar, I've put up a short survey in a tab in your web browser. Please complete this for us now. You'll also be sent an email with the link to the survey in case you do not have time to fill it out now. If you're watching this as an archived webinar, please refer back to your registration email with the link to the survey. Thank you. This is the end of the webinar.